Hello, and welcome to day 23 of Business English 2. Just a reminder that your journals are due this Thursday, June 4th. You should have 10 entries in total, so you can go ahead and leave your 5 original entries in your file and just send all 10 of your entries on Thursday this week, okay? And those will be due by the end of the day on Thursday. Now, we've been looking at some sentence errors. Last week we started looking at 3 different types of common problems. We looked at comma splices. We just started to look at sentence fragments, and then we are going to be looking at run-on sentences as well. So remember, a comma splice occurs when 2 sentences are joined together with a comma. That's when you have a sentence and a sentence, you join them together with nothing but a comma. For example, Min-sung hates kimchi, he's very unusual for a Korean. Or John is a teacher, he works at Inha University. Joined together here incorrectly with a comma in both cases. You have a sentence and a sentence, 2 independent clauses, joined with nothing but a comma. Okay, a sentence, comma, sentence. When they're joined together like that, that is called a comma splice, and it is incorrect. It's something you should not do. We talked about how to fix it. 3 simple methods, really. You can replace the comma with a period and just make 2 sentences. Or you can use a conjunction, one of the fanboys, and, or, but, so, for, nor, yet. Okay. You can use a conjunction after the comma to make a compound sentence. So you have a sentence, comma, conjunction, sentence. That's a compound sentence. Or you could simply replace the comma with a semicolon to keep it as one sentence, and to put just a little pause there, but you don't need to put a period. Okay, and we looked at some exercises for working on that. You have a page here with 3 different groups of exercises. We looked at the first set here with the comma splices in it, and there were just 4 examples there. We looked at those, so you might want to go back and review those. And that's where we had the cat focused here, intent on helping us find all of the comma splices. And then I showed you a picture from the Yogur Presso that used to be near the back gate, and the sign on the window that said, "If I am cautious, like the flap of the small bird which sat down on the branch of the tree." What? Okay, so we have part of a sentence here. We have a subject and a verb, but does it express a complete thought? Does it make sense? No, it doesn't. Because if we have an if statement, if I am cautious, what will happen? So we have the condition, but we don't have the result. So we talk about if-then statements. If something happens, or if I do something, then this will happen. Okay? And that is what is missing. The then is missing. Okay? If I am cautious, like the flap of the small bird which sat down on the branch of the tree, then something else should happen. So this is an incomplete thought, which means that we have a sentence fragment. A sentence fragment is part of a sentence. If you drop a glass on the floor, it will break into pieces. You'll have glass fragments all over the place. Broken pieces of a glass. They're not useful. Something's missing. They're broken. So sentence fragments are incomplete parts of a sentence. And incomplete parts of a sentence are not correct. Something is wrong. Was living in Russia. Who? Who was living in Russia? What is wrong with this sentence? If we simply say was living in Russia, what's wrong? There is no subject here. We have a verb, but we don't have a subject. How do we fix it? We add the subject. Vlad was living in Russia. Now, the subject, Vlad, was living, verb, in Russia. Vlad was living in Russia. Now we have a complete sentence. So if it's missing a subject, add a subject. Because he always drinks, what? So we have part of a sentence here. Because he always drinks, but we don't have a complete thought. Something is missing. So how do we fix it? We complete the thought. Because now we have an incomplete thought or idea, we have to complete the thought. So we might do something like this. Because he always drinks, Min Song looks terrible. So remember here, we're starting off with the dependent clause. Because he always drinks, you start with the dependent clause, then you need a comma, and then the independent clause. Min Song looks terrible. We could reverse those. We could say Min Song looks terrible because he always drinks. Now we have the independent clause first. Min Song looks terrible, followed by the dependent clause because he always drinks. When we start with the independent, we do not need a comma here. Okay? When we start with the dependent clause, we must have a comma. Who is this? Well, you may recognize the pictures here from Tarzan. Me Tarzan. He would say, me Tarzan, you Jane. Me Tarzan, you Jane. Now, remember that Tarzan was raised in the jungle by the animals. He didn't have an English teacher. So, did he have some English problems? Sure, because he didn't have a training. But he did have a great yell. So, he would say, me Tarzan, you Jane. What's wrong here? Me Tarzan, you Jane. We don't have verbs. So we have to add verbs to these sentences. So if there's no verb, you have to add a verb. Me am Tarzan, you are Jane. Is that correct? Not quite, is it? Me am Tarzan, you are Jane? No. So we also need to change this from me to I. I am Tarzan, you are Jane. Now, we could leave it as two sentences like this, or we could say, I am Tarzan, you are Jane. We could put it in one sentence, but use a semicolon instead of a period. Remember, if we use a semicolon, we do not need a capital letter here, so we use a lowercase y. I am Tarzan, you are Jane. Or we could make a compound sentence. I am Tarzan, and you are Jane, with a comma conjunction. Or we could even say, I am Tarzan, but you are Jane. So using a different conjunction. I am Tarzan, but you are Jane. Okay, we have some exercises now to work on sentence fragments. We have 6 examples here, And so you need to read these, identify the problem. What's missing? Does it need a subject? Does it need a verb? Is it an incomplete thought? Is it a dependent clause? So look at these, and you can stop the video here, go back to your worksheet, and section 3 here. Section 3 has these 6 example sentences. Okay, when I am tired, this morning I sick, because I didn't want to go to school, every day happy, each month after I get paid, also a cell phone, some money, and a toothbrush. Look at each of these and decide what is wrong. Does it need a subject? Does it need a verb? Does it need a complete thought? And fix them. So you can stop the video here, pause the video while you do these, and then when we come back, or when you start the video again, we can go over them. Okay, now that you have taken some time to write your answers for these, and make sure you do that before you continue with the video here. So if you need to take some time to work on these, please do so, and then come back when you're ready. So let's look at them. When I am tired, what? Okay, so again, we have a subject, we have a verb, but we don't have a complete thought. When I am tired is a dependent clause. How do we fix that? I'm going to show you a few different solutions for each of these. There are 100 different ways you could answer each of these. Okay, so your answers may vary. That's where we may see that word, answers may vary, which means you may have a different answer. It may be correct. I can't show you every possible answer here, but I'll show you a few different ways to answer each of these so that you get some different ideas of what you can do. But your answers might be a little bit different. If you're not sure if your answer is correct, feel free to post it in the group chat in Kakao, and we can look at it and see if it looks right or not. So, when I am tired, it's an incomplete thought, so we can complete the thought. When I am tired, I want to sleep all day. So when I am tired, dependent clause, comma, independent clause. I want to sleep all day. Or we could put an independent clause first. I get a headache. Independent clause. Why do I get a headache? Or when? I get a headache when I am tired. So now we have the independent clause followed by the dependent clause, no comma needed. Or we can simply change it to a complete thought. I am tired. That's the simplest way to fix it. Maybe not the most complete answer, but it is grammatically correct. I am tired. Number 2, this morning I sick. What's wrong? This morning I sick. There's no verb, so we can add a verb. This morning I was sick. Again, this morning, time transition here. This morning, comma, I was sick. Or we could say this morning I got sick. Are these the same? They have the same general idea. I would probably use got sick if it was something sudden. Maybe I felt okay, maybe I had some breakfast, and then suddenly maybe I vomited, or suddenly I started feeling bad. I started feeling sick. So I would use this for more like a sudden onset, sudden beginning of something, vomiting or fever or something that happens sort of quickly. I was sick is sort of an existing condition. Or we can make something a little more complex here, a little more complicated. When I got up this morning, I felt fine. So changing this completely, adding or using this morning at the beginning here, when I got up this morning, I felt sick. An independent clause, comma, conjunction. I feel better now, another independent clause. So we've made this into, we use this morning in a dependent clause. When I got up this morning, that's a dependent clause. I felt sick. We've added a verb here. I felt sick, independent clause, comma, conjunction, another independent clause. Okay, so that one we did a lot more to it, but it makes a more descriptive, more complete sentence. Number 3, because I didn't want to go to school, what? We have something that happened here. We have a result, but we don't have the cause, the reason for it. Because I didn't want to go to school, what happened? Okay, and that's the part that's missing. So we need to complete the thought. Because I didn't want to go to school, I stayed in bed all day. I slept all day. Dependent clause, comma, independent clause. Or we could put an independent clause first. I failed all of my classes because I didn't want to go to school. So now we have an independent clause, no comma, dependent clause. Or something else. I became a taxi driver because I didn't want to go to school. Now, do taxi drivers have to go to school? Maybe, for a limited time, much shorter than a 4-year university program. They may have a training school, some sort of classes they have to take, but it will be pretty short term. So we wouldn't usually, it would be much different than going to university or something like that. Number 4, everyday happy. What's missing here? Do we have a subject? No. Do we have a verb? No. So we just have a time reference and an adjective. So this is a really bad, this is not even close to a sentence. We don't have a subject or a verb or a complete thought. So how do we fix it? We add what's missing. So we might say something like, every day I am happy because I am in John's business English class. So I am, subject and verb, adjective. Every day I am happy. Now notice here I split every day into every day. Should it be 1 or 2 words? Which one is correct? It depends on how you're using it. Every day that John does not give me a lot of homework, I am happy. Every day. When we're talking about each day, all days, then we say every day. If we could write the phrase every single day, which is a phrase we use a lot of times, every single day, which means every day. It is emphasizing that we are talking about day after day after day after day. Every day. It should be 2 words. Actually the same as a lot. Many people will write a lot. That is actually incorrect. A lot, meaning a many, meaning many, is always 2 words. So if we write, see it actually, autocorrect actually fixed that. If we write a lot, this is incorrect. And notice in Microsoft Word here, it is underlined because it recognizes that it is misspelled. However, there is a word, a lot, with 2 L's. A lot. For example, if you're having a meeting and different people have to speak, you might allot 10 minutes for each person. To allot means it's kind of like allocate or to distribute something. So you can allot time or money or effort to doing something. When you have a class and you have to do some homework, you have to study for exams, you might allot a certain amount of time for each class. You allot, you allow, you schedule, you allocate a certain amount of time for each class. Allot. Or lot means a large amount or quantity. Whether it's a lot of time or a lot of money or a lot of people, it's a large amount or quantity. Or we could divide them and say every day, comma, time reference here, every day, John is happy to see his students. This semester I'm kind of sad because I don't get to see you often, which is disappointing. So I wrote this example before coronavirus started. So I was happy to see my students. Now it's disappointing that I can't see you every day. Or another example here, wearing my everyday clothes makes me happy because they're so comfortable. So notice here, everyday is written as a single word. Everyday clothes, everyday is an adjective describing clothes. Everyday clothes are like your normal, regular clothes that you wear on a daily basis. For example, if you work in an office and you have to wear a suit and tie, is that what you wear every day when you're on your free time, when you're just relaxing? Probably not. Your everyday clothes, those are your comfortable clothes that you wear when you don't have to do something specific, like going to the office or working somewhere. Your everyday clothes, for me, that would be blue jeans and a t-shirt, and in warm weather, some sandals. That's my everyday clothes. Okay? If I have to go to someplace where I need to dress more professionally, then I would wear slacks and a nice shirt and real shoes. Okay? Those are not my everyday clothes. My everyday clothes, that's when I'm at home, I'm just doing my normal everyday routine. Okay? So we can talk about everyday clothes, your everyday schedule, your everyday activities. Those are things you do on a normal, regular basis. Let's look at a couple of examples here using that. KFC, Kentucky Fried Chicken. KFC is present in more than 100 countries around the world. This is a little awkward. I'd probably say like KFC is located in more than 100 countries around the world. Every day our teams work hard to make your meal uniquely great tasting. Please give us your opinion. Is this the correct usage of every day? Every day our teams. Is it used as an adjective here? No, it is not. So that should say every day our teams work. Every day our teams work would be the correct way to do this. So this is incorrect. This is a sign from Walmart. Save money, live better. Low prices every day on everything. Now, obviously these are actually sentence fragments. They're not complete sentences. It's a marketing thing, so I'm okay with that. But are they using this correctly? Low prices every day on everything. Is this the correct usage of every day? Yes, because they are talking about every single day. They're talking about Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, next Sunday. They're talking about every day. So this is correct. This is also from Walmart. This is an everyday low price. Is this one correct? Yes, because now everyday is an adjective describing the low price. It's an everyday low price, which means this is the low price that's normal. This is an adjective describing the low price, saying this is our normal, regular price. It's always a low price. It's our everyday low price, our normal low price. So we could say something like, I shop at Walmart every single day. I shop at Walmart every day because of their everyday low prices. Again, here, everyday is an adjective describing the low prices. I shop at Walmart every day because of their everyday low prices. So this is a good example using that in both ways. Number 5, each month after I get paid. What's missing here? Each month after I get paid, what? What do you do? This is an incomplete thought. How do we fix it? We complete the thought. I pay all of my bills each month after I get paid. So we put an independent clause first. I pay all of my bills each month after I get paid. Dependent clause. Or we can reverse it. Each month after I get paid, dependent clause, comma, I celebrate for going out for a nice dinner with my friends. Dependent clause, comma, independent clause. Each month after I get paid, I celebrate. Each month, I still feel broke after I get paid. Something different, but also very common. Each month, separating it here, I still feel broke, independent clause. After I get paid, dependent clause. Okay? And number 6, also a cell phone, some money, and a toothbrush. What's wrong here? Do we have a subject? Do we have a verb? Okay. There's no verbs. What about these, though? Also, a cell phone, some money, and a toothbrush. We have some nouns. Do we have a subject? Not the way it's written. Are these things potentially the subject of a sentence? Possibly, but they don't have to be. Right now, we just have basically a list of nouns. There's no sentence structure here at all. How do we fix it? Well, we could make these things just objects in the sentence. I also brought. So using also kind of in the middle here, between I brought, between a subject and a verb, I also brought a cell phone, some money, and a toothbrush. So maybe, what did you bring with you? Oh, I brought my backpack and some clean clothes. I also brought a cell phone, some money, and a toothbrush. So a list of items you brought. Or we could make these the subject of the sentence. A cell phone, some money, and a toothbrush. So I've dropped the word also here. A cell phone, some money, and a toothbrush were on the table. So now all of these are the subject. And the verb were. Or something like this. If you're going on the trip this weekend, a dependent clause, you should also bring. You should bring. Now we have subject and verb. You should also bring a cell phone, some money, and a toothbrush. Okay, they are just objects. They are not the subject here. In this one, they are actually the subject. Okay? All right. So, we said we were going to look at common problems. We're going to look at comma splices, sentence fragments, and run-on sentences. So let's look at the third one here, the run-on sentences. So a run-on sentence occurs when two independent clauses are incorrectly joined with no punctuation or conjunction. So a run-on sentence means you have an independent clause and an independent clause. Two sentences that are just stuck together. Nothing between them. There's no punctuation. There's no period. There is no semicolon. There's not even a comma. But if you had a sentence and a sentence with a comma, that's a comma splice. So that's not enough. But there's no conjunction here to make a compound sentence. It's just two sentences stuck together. And again, this is a problem. This is something that's wrong. To look at our earlier examples, we could do something like this. Min Sung makes kimchi. He's very unusual for a Korean. Pardon me, my phone. Sorry, my phone was obviously doing one of the emergency alerts. Min Sung hates kimchi. He's very unusual for a Korean. See, this is a run-on sentence. Min Sung hates kimchi. Sentence. He's very unusual for a Korean. So that is a run-on sentence. It is a problem, and that's why we had that horribly loud alarm in the middle of this. My phone must have seen that I was doing a run-on sentence here and got very upset. Or, John is a teacher. He works at Inha University. Except, it's a run-on sentence. There's nothing separating them here. John is a teacher. He works at Inha University. Min Sung hates kimchi is very unusual for a Korean. It just runs on. Some people talk like this. They never breathe between sentences. Some people write like this. It's just sentence after sentence after sentence with no break, with no separation. So there are three ways to fix a run-on sentence. We can insert a period after the first independent clause to make two separate sentences. We can insert a comma and a conjunction, such as and, or, but, or, so, immediately after the first independent clause to make a compound sentence, or we can insert a semicolon after the first one. These should look very familiar to you. These are basically the same methods we used to fix comma splices. So let's look at these in more detail. First method, you can insert a period to make two separate sentences. Min Sung hates kimchi, he's very unusual for a Korean. Separate them. Min Sung hates kimchi. Period, capital H. He's very unusual for a Korean. John is a teacher who works at Inha University. John is a teacher. Period, capital H. He works at Inha University. Second method, we could insert a comma and a conjunction to make a compound sentence. Min Sung hates kimchi, comma, so. He's very unusual for a Korean. Comma, conjunction, compound sentence. John is a teacher who works at Inha University. Separate them with a comma and a conjunction. John is a teacher, comma, and he works at Inha University. Or we could insert a semicolon after the first independent clause. Min Sung hates kimchi, he's very unusual for a Korean. Separate them. Min Sung hates kimchi. He's very unusual for a Korean. Semicolon, no capital letter. Now again, this only works if these two sentences are closely related. Min Sung hates kimchi. Because of that, or this is what makes him unusual for a Korean, because most Koreans love kimchi. So because he hates kimchi, he's unusual. So these are very closely related ideas. So a semicolon is appropriate. A semicolon works there. Or John is a teacher who works at Inha University. John is a teacher. He works at Inha University. Okay, much cleaner and simpler. Semicolon, no capital letter after that. Okay, so we've talked about sentence fragments. We've talked about comma splices and run-on sentences. those will be on your final exam. So make sure that you review those and study those appropriately. Now, last time I left you with a little internet picture here about Robert the Doll, and we discussed it in the group chat. Let me just talk about it briefly here in case you did not understand the chat or forgot about it. It says Robert the Doll is rumored to be haunted. Is rumored. There's a story. People believe. There's a myth, a legend around him. Okay, gossip, rumor. Some people believe that he is haunted. There's like a ghost or some sort of spirit controlling this doll. Robert the Doll is rumored to be haunted. The 111-year-old doll belonged to painter Robert Eugene Otto, who spoke of it as a person and blamed it for his own misbehavior. So, Robert Eugene Otto spoke of it, Robert the Doll, as a person and blamed it, the doll, for his own misbehavior. What does his refer to here? The doll or Robert? He spoke of the doll as a person and blamed the doll for his own misbehavior. Here refers to Robert's misbehavior. People claim it, the doll, people claim it moves, causes accidents, and makes electronics. People claim it moves. You leave it on the chair, and tomorrow morning it's on the floor. Or you put it on the table, and tomorrow morning it's on the sofa. It moves by itself. It causes accidents. It makes people drop things, or it makes things fall off the table, or it makes things break, and makes electronics. So if the doll makes electronics, then it could make my mouse, or it could make my cell phone. It makes electronics. It builds them. It creates them. Does that make sense? Is the doll building electronics? If it was, it could probably get a job at Samsung, making smartphones or computers or flat screens. But it doesn't. Okay, it doesn't make electronics. But we could say that it makes, you might say something like it makes and makes electronics stop working. Maybe if you're wearing a wristwatch, it just stops. It makes electronics stop working. Or you might say something like, and makes electronics break or not function properly. If they do not function properly, we can say makes electronics malfunction. Malfunction. Mal here means like in a bad way or a wrong way, or not function properly. So people claim it moves, causes accidents, and makes electronics malfunction. So maybe if you're wearing a watch, it gains time or loses time. Maybe a cell phone doesn't work around it. It will act crazy, or you won't get a good signal. So if it makes electronics malfunction, maybe there's some sort of like magnetic field or something associated with it. So it makes electronics so they don't work the way they should. Okay? Alright, I have a couple of examples for you here. This is a quote from Socrates. Socrates said, "I cannot teach anybody anything. I can only make them think." Is this written correctly? Or is there a problem here? Is there a mistake? And we have another one. My friend thinks he's smart. He said onions are the only food that make you cry. course, many people, when they slice onions, it makes their eyes water. It makes them cry. So my friend thinks he's smart. He said onions are the only food that make you cry. So I threw a coconut at his face. Is this written correctly? Are there any problems here? Okay. This will be your attendance check for today. Is pick one of these, or actually both of them, and see if you can find and correct any mistakes or problems in either of these internet memes. Okay? Alright, let me show you a couple more things here before we finish up. This is just something obviously copied from a whiteboard. It says today is Wednesday. It's cloudy and rainy. And so they're talking about different sounds here, like different sound combinations. CL, GL, and BL. So they're practicing different sounds. Sorry, we have some more emergency alerts. CL, GL, and BL sounds. Cl, gl, and bl. So they have some different words for each of these. Clam, clock, clap. Clam, clock, clap. Using the CL. Or GL, glove, globe, glide. Glove, globe, glide. And then BL sounds. Bl, blue, black, blake. Oh, wait. That's bacon. There's no BL in bacon, so we have a little problem here. Okay, so, but they love bacon, obviously, because bacon is great. And, I don't know, do you like bacon? I do. I love bacon. So here is some social media explained using bacon, different social media sites. So we have, was it Twitter? I'm eating bacon. On Facebook, you might post, I like bacon. LinkedIn, this is more of a job search site, talking about you post your resume. I have skills, including eating bacon. So you post your skills, your qualifications. I believe this is like Foursquare, maybe. It's like a map-based thing, a location thing. This is where I eat bacon. YouTube, watch me eat my bacon. Okay, making a video, I guess a mukbang of bacon. Oh, that'd be good. Instagram? Here's a vintage photo of my bacon. Vintage photo. So it looks like an old photo. Pinterest. Here's a recipe with bacon. People use Pinterest to post pictures and recipes. Google Plus. I work for Google and eat bacon. Okay. And this is some sort of music streaming site. I'm listening to music about bacon. Okay, because people love bacon. Many people love bacon. So this would be different ways to talk about bacon. And here are some sentences about bacon. And notice here at the top it says short sentences. Actually, I believe this should be short sentences. Short, simple sentences about bacon. And I'm going to leave this one as you for homework. This one with you for homework. Read through here. We have some different types of sentences. We have short sentences, compound sentences, short compound sentences, sentences with the subject first, sentences with the adjectives first, and sentences with the adverbs first. And read through these and see if you can find any mistakes, any problems with the grammar or spelling or punctuation. Obviously down here there's a little problem. The image is cut off. Don't worry about that. This says, quickly I chewed and swallowed the bacon. So that's the edge of an N and a period. And the third one, happily I ate every single strip of bacon. So again, the edge of the image was cut off. Whoever took the original photo or whoever posted it the first time cut that edge off. Don't worry about that. Okay, you can just fill that in. All right. So this is homework for you to look at. to see if you can find any problems, mistakes, errors on this list, this page with all of these different sentences on it. Okay? Now, next week, we will, starting on Thursday, I guess, we will be looking at another editor's challenge. This one in the form of an email with 34 intentional errors in sentence structure. So that would be things like comma splices, run-on sentences, or sentence fragments, problems with pronouns, spelling, and proofreading, just general mistakes. Okay? And it says when you replace a wordy phrase with one word, maybe you combine two words into a single word or a phrase, that's just one correction. But when you correct a comma splice, a run-on sentence, or a sentence fragment, that counts as 2 errors. Okay? So that would be 2 out of the 34 errors. So I will upload this for you as well, so that you can begin working on it. All right, guys, have a great day, and I'll see you next time.